Good evening, and welcome to tonight's Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting as we do each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Noah Smith, District 3.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniels, Superintendent of Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board, and I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. We begin this evening with awards and recognition. It is recommended that the Fort Wayne Community Schools recently celebrated the class of 2025 during graduation ceremonies for each high school. Over 1,800 graduates received their diplomas on May 30th and 31st at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. This highlight video captures moments from Northrop, Northside, Snyder, Southside, Wayne, and the Fort Wayne Virtual Academy graduations. That's good. Okay. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the regular meeting on May 12th, 2025, and the student recognition meeting on May 19th. Vouchers and payroll, the personnel report, and required disclosures. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Noah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dr. Daniel, did you have any? No? Okay. We have no old business, so we move to new business. Steve, can you do item A, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
It is recommended the board adopt Amplify Core Knowledge Language Arts version 3 for grades K through 5 in the amount of $976,722.22. Amplify Core Knowledge is a comprehensive knowledge-building literacy curriculum that integrates reading, writing, listening, and speaking with rich content in history, science, and literature. It is designed to build students' background knowledge and vocabulary systematically, supporting strong reading comprehension that is aligned with the science of reading. As a requirement of state code, we are required to adopt a curriculum that is fully aligned with the science of reading and is included on the IDOE High Quality Instructional Material List. The state released the HQIM list in May, and this product has been reviewed and selected by various FWCS stakeholders to meet our district's needs. Funding is going to be coming out of the textbook rental fund, and we have a couple of people here to answer any additional questions about this recommendation. Shannon Quigley, who is the Director of Elementary Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Also here is Mary Kinray, Director of Elementary Education.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
So
Move for
moved.
approval.
Thanks,
Second.
Julie. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Shannon or Mary?
I have a question. Is this a one-year agreement?
No, this would be a 6-year agreement.
Okay. And when we receive the rec and we have stakeholders meeting the curriculum, who does that entail?
This included our instructional coaches, principals, and also included a teacher review.
And it looks like the list did not released for quite some time. So how long had we been reviewing and until we made that decision?
Correct. The state had a previous release, a 2024 high-quality instructional material list that was available through the fall. So we started our review process at that point. We were ready to move forward with adoption when the state asked us to pause until the 2025 list was released. And that was released at the end of May. And the materials that we had reviewed were, again, on the list. So that allowed us to continue to move forward.
And although it's 6 years, do we evaluate each year just to kind of see where we are with what this curriculum is and you know, ask our teachers, look at where our scores are going and how they're using it? See the
As we
usage?
implement curriculum, we do ask for feedback from our teachers to make adjustments to the curriculum, to adjust pacing. We don't necessarily adopt different curriculum each year because the implementation would be hard to change each year for teachers and to monitor fidelity or implementation growth if we changed continually. But we do ask for feedback to get that from teachers.
Great, thank you.
What happens if the state changes the standard or takes them off the HQIM? I mean, do we get a refund or? I guess I apologize, I didn't realize it's a 6-year commitment.
Right. We have asked, the state has told us that there is an assurance for 6 years that the material will remain on their list as long as the publisher does not change any content within the list. But we're also working with the publisher for some assurances to allow us to continue using the product or to work with us if there were any changes in legislation that would require us to implement any additional components.
I'd sure want to make that subject to all that stuff. I guess, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this is a 6-year commitment. And it's the full amount for the 6 years, so it's roughly $500,000 a year,
Correct.
but it's all payable at once?
Yes.
Or is it a $500,000 per year commitment?
It can be paid at once or you can opt to pay it over years. They have different options for how we can fund that.
And I presume annually is more expensive.
Yes, if you pay it annually, there's additional cost.
But if the state would choose to
Take it
do
off the
some,
list.
take it off the list, or they're willing to work with us to,
The state has said that the list would not change, but we have asked the publisher to, really the issue with some of the other materials were legislative based, so we've asked the publisher to work with us if there were any legislative requirements around curriculum, that in good faith they would work with us, and we're working through that with the legal teams.
So let me ask you this, how many materials like this have been traditionally put in place and held good for 6 years by the state?
I don't have the data, but I would say traditionally they've stayed on there for the 6 years.
I mean, we get
Dr.
average
Brown, do you have
150
that?
laws a year related to education,
Yeah.
so.
But it's
what-
been 6 years for quite some time, so I would
Yeah.
think that they,
This is, I
you
think,
know,
we're in the second or third year of having the high-quality approved list connected to the science of reading. That's been a new legislative piece in the past 2 or 3 years.
So new 2 or 3 years ago, so if we committed something 5 years ago, we'd be out of luck probably, right?
Could be.
And what's the mode of delivery of curriculum to students? I assume there's a variety of delivery modes. I mean, does it involve textbooks, online?
Yes, there is. There's digital materials that the teacher can use to present content to students. There's some online access, but really it is text for the students to read, presentation tools for the teacher, and some instructional materials that students will receive to respond as well.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I would say in addition to the assurances that we have from the publisher, we've also been in communication with the Department of Education about them working with us as well if something would change on the list. And that was from Dr. Jenner's office, so we feel pretty comfortable with that.
And have we used this Amplified before, or is this brand new to us?
This would be a new program to the district. We did have some teachers that utilized it this school year. Some teachers at Mary's school utilized it this school year as well, so we had some teachers that piloted
Scott,
the curriculum. Yep.
what kind of feedback or results did they get, or changes? I know.
Sure.
Rumor has it you had a good year, Mary. But.
Yeah.
Specifically, I had a second grade teacher who utilized it. She also utilized the materials at Irwin as well when I was there. And then she came with me to Scott. So I was very excited for our students at Scott to have this opportunity because it is a vocabulary language rich in materials for students. And I think one of the initial things that she and I saw, especially at Scott, where we had students with some limited language, that as soon as we started presenting this to them, the amount of conversations, the amount of writing, the amount of knowledge that they were taking in now that they could respond to it, talk about it, speak about it, and also write about it was very impressive. This teacher specifically has over 60% of her kids at second grade passing iRead.
How much would you have said she would have had at that class? I know she's new there, but from last year's data, if you had a chance to look, what percent of those first graders would have been on that path, do you feel like?
I don't know that well, no, but I can say that last year at Scott, only 11% of the students in second grade passed going into third grade. And now those second graders themselves are above 60%. And the other teachers also, you had two teachers there that were new to trying it, and they also did it as well at that grade level.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Item B, Julie?
Yes. It's recommended that the board renew a one-year extension of HMH Science Dimensions for grades K through 5 in the amount of $199,552. HMH Science Dimensions is a comprehensive inquiry-based science curriculum aligned to state and national standards designed to engage students in hands-on investigations, critical thinking, and real-world problem solving. The program integrates science and engineering practices and provides interdisciplinary connections to build scientific understanding across all grade levels. Extending the program for 1 year will ensure continuity of instruction with no disruption to student learning, while also allowing time to evaluate future science curriculum options and gather stakeholder input. Funding is from textbook rental, and Shannon Quigley is still available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Shannon?
Why the 1 year extension?
Similar to the literacy high quality instructional material list, the state was delayed in releasing the science list. So it was supposed to be released last spring, and it was pushed until this spring. So we wanted to ensure that while we were evaluating curriculum, if we're going to select new material, it comes from that high quality instructional material list as well.
So we've already been using this for?
Correct. This has
6
been the
years?
past 6 years. We've utilized this curriculum, so this will just be an extension year.
So I'd assume that since we've really been focusing on our literacy and math, and this is science, and what year do the students take iLearn for science?
4th grade students take iLearn for science.
But this science covers all K through.
Yeah, this is a K-5 comprehensive curriculum for all grade levels.
So I guess I have that same question. When we go to evaluate those 4th, 5th grader teachers that are really focusing on that a little bit more, we utilize their feedback on how well this, whatever we pick, is aligning.
Correct. We'll ask for opportunities for all teachers to be a part of that committee that will review the curriculum and have opportunities to evaluate and help provide input. Part of the adoption of the ELA curriculum gives us more access to science that's embedded within the literacy. So also finding a curriculum that aligns with that to allow the science and literacy to really work together so students have a continuity in instruction and provide teachers with material that works together throughout their day.
So with that said, then, when we're looking at ELA curriculum, are we really trying hard to get those two to mesh so that we're looking at one set of, we're not buying one science, one ELA, that we're trying to get those to work together a little bit more so it's a little easier, one, to do a little more cross-based learning as well as potentially saving us some dollars at the same time?
Yeah, yes, for many reasons, it would work well to have both things aligned. One, for the cognitive load for our students to be able to have that cross-curricular connection between the two subject areas. They can transfer their knowledge in ELA to then utilize in their science curriculum time as well, and allow for some of the preparation for teachers to be able to carry over from language arts into the science time. So it would really work well to provide a curriculum that's science-based that ties in together. So now that we have our ELA curriculum in place, it will again help us review the science pieces so that we can ensure teachers have a more cohesive day that supports all areas.
I appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Other questions? Thanks, Shannon. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Noah, can you do item C?
Sure, as recommended, the board renew a one-year extension of Savas Science for grades 6 through 12 in the amount of $149,691. Savas Science is a comprehensive science curriculum aligned to state and national standards designed to engage students in critical thinking and real-world problems solving. Extending the program for 1 year will ensure continuity of instruction with no disruption of student learning or teaching practices, while also allowing time to evaluate further science curriculum options and gather stakeholder input. Funding is from the textbook rental, and Shannon's still here to answer questions.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Shannon? All right. Is there, yes.
Aye.
I completely had a brain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Literally in my head, I go, what do I say? Okay, yes.
I'm going to read them.
Next up is the Edgenuity renewal. It is recommended that the board renew a one-year contract with Edgenuity in the amount of $182,375. Edgenuity through Image Learning is an online learning platform that offers a wide range of courses for students in grades 6 through 12, including core subjects and electives. It's used for credit recovery, initial credit, and is aligned to state standards and the Common Core. Edgenuity courses are designed to be engaging and interactive with features like video-based lessons, interactive activities, and assessment. Funding will come from the Education Fund, and Shannon is still here to answer our questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Shannon?
Do we know how many students utilize Edgenuity, average, each year?
And what's their breakdown between 6 through 12?
Right now, I know this summer we did credit recovery and applications. We had 1,443 students access it this summer, but then throughout the school year, we also have students that are utilizing it to take additional courses that they may not have offered at their school, or advanced placement courses that we don't have offered at each building. I don't have exact numbers for each grade level, but we can get those for you at which levels.
Would you guess, is there a slant towards the high school level versus the middle school level, or?
I would
usage?
guess it is more high school based right now than middle school.
So 1,400 this summer.
Correct.
So are they accessing this in the school building?
This summer it was a virtual
home?
programming option. Yes, virtual.
Are we using this with our virtual school then?
Yes, we also use it with our virtual school, and this allows them to have virtual electives or different online courses that we might not have the scope to offer with our virtual school.
Thanks.
It's been a while since I've heard the term Common Core. I thought that was dead and gone. No?
Nope, it's still out there.
Really?
Yep, other states still utilize those standards as their standard base.
Interesting.
Anything else? No. Thanks, Shannon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That kind of proves you can never kill anything in education.
Absolutely. Jen, can you do item E, please?
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of Lenovo laptops from Trafara of St. Paul, Minnesota in the amount of $898,370 and Dell laptops from Secured Tech of Fortville, Indiana in the amount of $1,999,536.40. We're getting from Trafara 600 computers, Lenovo L13 teacher laptops, 214 from Trafara for student laptops, P16s, and Secure Tech 3,320 Dell Pro 14 student laptops for that total. The purchase of Lenovo L13 laptops will replace aging teacher devices, and the P16 laptops are our annual New Tech Academy purchase. The Dell laptops will replace aging student devices at Northside and Southside. FWCS was able to secure Lenovo pricing from Trafara that is below Omnia contract pricing and Dell pricing from Secured Tech that is below TIPS cooperative contract pricing. Indiana law does not require public bidding for purchases made at or below approved cooperative purchasing agencies and/or GSA pricing. Funding will come from the Common School Fund, Loan, and Technology General Obligation Bond, and Kevin Grubel is here from Technology to answer questions.
Thanks, Jen. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Kevin?
Is this our big laptop spend for the year, do you think, Kevin? I know we do a cycle like every year.
Yeah, excuse me. So with the different funding cycles as they come through the business office and we get them, this is one of the probably at least 2, if not 3 orders we'll do the year. So this is the 2 major high schools that we're trying to knock out in one purchase, North Side and South Side. We fell behind a little bit on our replacement for high schools because the Lenovo that we had was causing us hardware problems, and we were working with the manufacturer to resolve those. So that's what led to the manufacturer change, moving from Lenovo to Dell. So we couldn't work through those with Lenovo very well.
But these Lenovo units, these 814 are still ones you want and we need, or?
The 814, so the Lenovo that we have for teachers' laptops, those are fine. It was the student Lenovo laptop that was causing us problems. Lots of screen breakage, and we couldn't get them repaired easily. And Lenovo wasn't backing their product, even though they said it met current hardware requirements. They just weren't truly backing it for us. But the other product lines are solid with Lenovo.
Is there a big difference between the computer manufacturers once you get the computer anymore these days, or is it all on the software side?
If you look inside the cases, there's lots of differences. So the reason why we move into Dell is a couple different things. They have daughter cards, which is a snap-in or a screw-in card that has different kinds of ports like USB-C, USB-A, the power port, and things like that are very modular and easy to swap out for us to do quick repairs on. The Lenovo doesn't offer that. So as you look at the technology is there, but the way they implement that in a hardware fashion inside the case sometimes it varies pretty greatly.
So you see yourself going to more Dell versus Lenovo, it sounds like?
The Dell meets our specs that we were looking for, and it's actually an improved device. So it's actually an Intel processor that's going to be strong enough to run the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. So one of the last meetings we had you guys approve the Itopia virtual desktop experience. This will lighten our licensing in that manner so we can put more students in the Itopia that don't have this powerhouse of a laptop.
Just out of curiosity, I thought that at New Tech there were approximately 100 students per grade. So why would we be buying just over 200 student laptops every year.
I'll have to research that.
Okay. I mean, am I wrong about that?
No.
Aren't there approximately 100
There's 100 students per
grade
grade.
level at
Yep.
New Tech? Okay.
Yep.
Because it says here it's an annual New Tech Academy purchase. I don't, that's, well, you just let us
I
know.
don't have that answer.
Okay.
I know it's 110 devices what we usually order for New Tech. That's 100 for the students and then 10 spares for each class.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's just a typo, but if you can give me the time to go back and reflect on that number.
Is there any thought of pausing computer purchases with the changes coming with AI and large language models and being built into computers, or just keep rolling as we go?
Right now, the devices are not bringing a whole lot of AI into that hardware at our price point. It's impacting more of the software and the online software resources that we access. With the Itopia and stuff, we're able to reduce our technical footprint on laptops for students, and then we send them into that high performance environment. There is the AI coming into hardware. It's just not down in our price point yet.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thanks, Kevin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ann, can you do item F, please?
Sure. Park Center case managers for behavior support classrooms. It is recommended that the board approve a 2025-26 contract with Park Center in the amount of $240,000. Park Center, an affiliate of Parkview Health, provides each of our 16 elementary behavior support classrooms a case manager during the school day to support FWCS staff with students' behavioral needs. In addition, it provides one Park Center case manager for our middle school behavior support classroom. The program's funding is being supported by Medicaid and will be overseen by Jennifer Burning, Director of Special Education.
Thanks, Ann. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Jennifer? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Steve, can you do item G, please?
This is Title II.
Yeah.
It's recommended the board approve the acceptance of the Title II Part A grant for the federal fiscal year 2024 for usage during the 24 to 26 school years from the State Department of Education. The amount of the agreement is $1,527,361.37. Federal funding is provided to schools under the Every Student Succeeds Act. The allocation is based on enrollments for both public and non-public schools within our attendance boundary. The amount of $326,746.81 has been allocated to serve identified non-public schools for the Title II Part 8 purposes. This is an entitlement grant provided to supplement the education fund. Dollars will be used to implement professional learning activities as needed to further educators' capacity to support students in increasing academic achievement. And Kim Brooks, Federal Programs Director, is here to answer any of our questions about this recommendation.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Kimberly?
I have a question. Can you clarify, we have in here during the 24-26 school year, can you just explain how that works with that time frame and then the recommendation now?
Yes, so the Title II, 3, and 4 grants are all typically 2-year grants. We will receive an allocation for the next 2 years this year. So every year we get a new round of funding, but it's for a 2-year span.
Okay. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Thank you.
Other questions? Thanks, Kim. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Julie, can you do item H? Thank you.
It's recommended that the board approve the acceptance of the Title IV Part A grant for usage during the 24 to 26 school years from the Indiana Department of Education in the amount of $1,071,543.81. Title IV Part A funding is provided to schools under the Every Student Succeeds Act. The allocation is based on enrollments for both public and non-public schools housed within the Fort Wayne Community School attendance boundary. The amount of $231,715.40 has been allocated to serve identified non-public schools. Title IV Part A is intended to improve students' academic achievement by providing all students with access to a well-rounded education, particularly through well-rounded educational opportunities, social and emotional supports, and effective technology use and integration. And Kimberly Brooks is Federal Programs Director, still available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Kim?
Where'd she go? Yeah, so this is money that's already been allocated by the federal government that flows through the state, is that right?
Correct.
So this is already done and baked in the cake and not part of the big beautiful bill potentially or whatever?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have any sense or idea of how the big beautiful bill may impact us?
I am not aware of anything that's actionable. I mean, there's a lot of proposed numbers that are floating around out there, but we don't have anything solid just yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Noah, can you do item I?
Sure. It's recommended the board approve a 3-year contract with Samsara, Inc. in the amount of $528,894.75. This purchase includes replacing GPS units throughout the school and special purpose bus fleet and several support vehicles. It also includes purchasing artificial intelligence dual-facing dash camera hardware to connect services to the existing Gatekeeper DVR security system on the school buses. Funding will come from transportation operations and school safety operation referendum funds. And Darren is here to answer any questions along with Mike Manuel.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Julie.
Whichever. Here.
Any questions for Darren or Mike? Okay.
Heather, are you Darren?
Nope, Darren.
Oh, Darren's
Darren's here.
Hiding.
Sit up, man.
It's hiding. Slouch down so
Can you
ask him a
explain
Hiding.
the artificial intelligence dual-facing dash camera?
Sure. So we've been piloting 2 of these on the buses a couple months, about 3 months. And it's reactive. It looks like, for example, 17 different ways your eyes will blink or you'll nod to look at, just like for drowsiness. And it'll actually alert the driver that, hey, you're drowsy. I mean, visually, or I mean, audio over the radio, it'll tell them, hey, you wake up, kind of thing. But it also sends all kinds of data and informatics back to our dashboard, where our supervisors can review that, and they can play with the dashboard and talk with the drivers. But just driver drowsiness is just one item. But it also looks at all kinds of other different things. And we'll have these on all the buses, regular buses and the special ed buses.
Supposed to be on all of our buses now?
Correct.
Which is,
Does that drive our insurance rates down, hopefully?
Yeah, we've already shared this with our underwriter to see for the next renewal to see. It has proven to take.
It's like a fire drill, a
cost
fire
down.
alarm, right? Kind of thing,
Yeah.
hey. That's great. Yeah.
Thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. I have the next one. It is recommended that the board approve a 3-year agreement with CI Solutions in the amount of $250,950. This purchase includes a student identification card system that provides RFID proximity student identification cards for all pre-K through 12 students, badge printers, and web cameras for all schools. Project implementation and support for 3 years. Funding will come from the School Safety Operations Referendum Fund, and Darren is still here to answer any of our questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approved.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Darren?
So the students will be wearing these all day or putting them somewhere? Or?
The secondary students will wear them all day. The idea is that we're just going to build on this for media services, school lunches, attendance, homeroom, that kind of nature. Elementary students, because they're going out to recess on slides and things like that, they'll have a cubby to hold it in their room. So they'll use it mainly just for media services, to check out books right now, and to get on and off the bus.
And not for lunch?
Not for elementary because they don't have the a la carte yet.
And so we will have the badge printers then?
Correct.
And what happens when a student loses one?
So we have extra ribbons at the schools, and they will print off a badge. Each school have their own policy in place of how that looks, but typically we're asking $5 for replacement badge. I believe we're giving them kind of a grace of $2. Again, it's up to the school to come up with their own policy. Maybe just reduction of privileges as well as attendance at an event. So it's up to the schools.
Will these badges be able to be used should we go to the system where they're getting on and off the bus and having their badge scanned so that we know that they're on the buses, off the buses?
Yes, in fact, that will be in place this fall.
Okay.
We piloted it at, is that 4 schools? 5 schools this year. So yeah, it's pretty neat. I can see it. I sat down with the dispatcher, and we can see when a kid comes on and goes off, and it's real time.
Awesome.
And will parents have access to that information?
They will not, but they will be able to contact us, and like I said, our dispatcher will be able to bring it up right away.
Got it.
You intend to use this for extracurricular activities, for like fan attendance for students? And
Yes, we're going to pilot that in the fall as well. It can go as far as if it's the same type of badge scanner at Northwest Down or Southwest Down, we can have our kids badge in as visitors there in case someone's had their privileges taken away, and we can do the same with some of our other neighboring school districts. When they visit us, we can scan their badges. And
do you know if the other districts are looking at this?
They are, and I believe some of them already have them in place, correct? I think, and I believe we've checked with, I think at least one of them has the same type as we do.
If I use the Y activity bus, will that be something that can use, or is it just for the regular school buses?
Right now, it's just the regular school buses. We are looking at the SPB buses, but right now it's just the main school buses, and then any extracurricular events that happen during the day, like field trips and that.
Okay.
Could we make this a contingency for people like the Y and stuff? Not that we want to over peacekeepers, not that we overburden them with costs and stuff, but under $10 a person, that seems pretty reasonable, and for all the stuff we can get out of this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely expandable. We're even looking at it. We've been working with CityLink so that the badges that we purchase will work on their readers, so that potentially they could be a partner with us as well. So we're looking at all avenues.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Jen, can you do item K?
It is recommended that the board approve the contracts for on-call architect and engineering for the 2026 through 2030 and renovations at Franke Park, Holland, and Northcrest. Related information is on-call project types are general building systems, would be Blackbird Design Resources, Kelty Tappy Design Inc., small renovations, Design Collaborative, Garmin Miller, Moat Park. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing, Garmin Miller, primary engineering, building envelope, Martin Riley Architects, site and traffic, Martin Riley Architects, site development, Jones, Petrie, Rafinsky. Renovations at Franke Park, Holland, and North Crest, the architect engineer is Moak Park, and the anticipated construction budget is $2,700,000 with the anticipated AE fee of $231,000. Indiana law requires Law 36-1-12-7 that projects over $100,000 make use of a registered architect or a professional engineer for developing plans and specifications. Project architects engineers will be assigned on an annual basis with contract amendments brought to the board at the time of the amendment. Renovations at Franke Park, Holland, and North Crest will be funded through the 2020 School Building Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project Bond and Operation Funds. And Heather Krebs is here to answer our questions.
Thanks, Jen. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Heather?
This is the first time we've done this?
I was going to ask that too.
Yeah.
On-call approach?
It's not the first time. It's different terminology. So in previous years, you were used to this being the PPI or CPP architects, which were awarded on a 3-year basis. To allow ourselves some more flexibility as we move forward, we're calling these on-call projects, and we're actually extending that cycle out to 5 years. So this is really just our CPP type projects, but we're trying to give ourselves a little more flexibility, allow ourselves to be able to perhaps use some different entities for some of the various projects because we often have multiple packages that we put out. And then also give ourselves flexibility from a financial standpoint to do some slightly larger projects than we would normally do in a CPP, but still slightly smaller than what we would do as a standalone project.
So most of the names or organizations are people we've used, but is Blackbird Design and Jones Petrie new?
They're not new to us. We have used them on some previous projects. Blackbird Design is an interior design-based company, Melissa Hall and Jolene Gottwald, and they are based out of Electric Works down here. They both have a long history in interior design in Fort Wayne. And then Jones Petrie Rafinsky is, their main office is in South Bend, but they do have a local office here in town, and they've done site projects for us in the past.
Thank you.
So what's the functional difference between CPP and on-call?
There's no major functional difference. We're just we're giving it a new terminology because it would allow us to also utilize bond funds for some of these projects. We're just trying to position ourselves in future years to have some flexibility in how we award these because of the uncertainty in some of the financing coming in future years from the state.
So when it says 2026 to 2030, I presume we're not hoping it takes 4 years to complete this?
Absolutely not. These will be annual projects that will be completed within 1 year. So each year we will come to you with recommendations for contract approvals for specific projects. But this just allows us to engage these entities early on to start working on them.
During that window of time?
During that window of time, yes. We would expect to go out with a new RFP in 2029 for 2030 through 34 or 35.
And so is the idea that like on-call project types, small renovations, that group, the 3 or 4 people listed would be the go-tos for that?
Correct.
Is that it? Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ann, can you do item L? Thank you.
Donation of permanent easement at Snyder High School. It is recommended that the board approve the granting of a permanent easement to Fort Wayne City Utilities to support the Snyder High School Athletics project. It is further recommended that the superintendent or his designee be authorized to sign the appropriate documents and take necessary steps to grant Fort Wayne City Utilities the permanent easement. Snyder High School at 4600 Fairline Pass. The purpose of the donation granting this permanent easement is part of Fort Wayne City Utilities' continued efforts to improve and update their stormwater infrastructure to serve the new athletics complex. This specific improvement is necessary to increase system capacity. The proposed easement is approximately 3/4 of an acre in total, and Heather Krebs again is here to answer our questions.
Thanks, Ann. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Heather?
Okay, so explain to a Southsider where Fairlawn Pass is, and this is what? I'm guessing a strip of land about 10 feet wide and 200 feet long or something like that?
So Fairlawn Pass is actually bordering the north side of Snyder High School. It's
Okay.
just the physical address of the high school. The easement itself varies in width depending on the size of the structure that's underneath, but it basically routes from Reed Road along the north side of the new football field and track, and then down along the drive that goes from Vance Avenue north into the property between Snyder and Glenwood,
Okay.
The bus lane there.
the bus lane.
It's quite a dramatic drawing that we saw on our package house.
It's an impressive description.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Heather?
So basically, because of the updates that the city's taken over time, that's not needed anymore. Is that part of it, or is it the project we're working on now is going to improve it such that it's not needed?
Well, this, along with the project that we're working on now, is going to help stormwater efforts in that area. So it's going to give a better path for stormwater in that general area because of our improvements.
And this has nothing to do with the extra women's stalls that we're putting in,
Absolutely not.
in the stadium? The answer is no, Darren?
All right. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Steve, can you do item M, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It is recommended the board approve the following construction contracts, and there are two of them: HPB natatorium HVAC improvements. The contractor is Allen County Builders. The contract amount is $2,589,000. Project number 2 is the high school athletic storage buildings, CME construction. $674,500 is the construction contract there. The work at the Helen Brown Natatorium includes the replacement of pool dehumidification units. The work at the high schools includes a new storage building at Northrop and Wayne, and additions to the storage buildings at North and South to support the new athletic equipment at those schools. Projects will utilize the 2024 general obligation bond funds, and Heather is still here to answer questions about this work.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks. Any questions for Heather?
What's the expected life of the pool dehumidification units? When was the last time we replaced them?
I can't speak to the last time we replaced them, but the expected life cycle is roughly 15 years. So I would imagine the units that are there have probably been there for 15 to 20 years.
I don't know that you can answer this question, but it brings to question, how many schools outside of Fort Wayne Community Schools utilize the natatorium as their natatorium?
I don't know the answer to that question. Darren, do you? Yeah, I don't know, but we can get with Liz and find out that answer for you.
I'm just curious because I know it's heavily utilized.
Absolutely.
And it's not an inexpensive place to keep up either. So I just was curious as how many schools outside, until we have this grandiose one coming on the north side, how many other schools utilize our auditorium, so.
We will get that answer for
Thank you.
Is Allen County Builders a new entity, or I know there's many Allen County Builders, I just didn't know there was a company called Allen County Builders.
There is a company called Allen County Builders, and they have done several projects with us over the years.
So Northrop and Wayne are getting new storage buildings, and then north side and south side are getting additions to current storage buildings?
That is correct.
Okay. And approximately how big are the storage buildings?
That is a great question. I don't have the answer to that right at my fingertips, but I'm hearing 30 by 40.
Okay.
Roughly.
Okay. And will the additions at north side and south side make the buildings approximately the same size as Northrop and Wayne then?
They will.
Okay. Okay, cool. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Julie, can you do item N, please? Thank you.
It's recommended that the board approve a contract with the Henry Ford Learning Institute for $152,700 for the implementation of Phase 5. Go further of the Ford NGL roadmap for 25-26. Fort Wayne Community Schools has already completed the Explore, Envision, Plan, and Implement phases with Ford NGL. This next phase will deepen the implementation of the systems, structures, processes, and competencies to support and sustain continuous improvement with distributed leadership and succession planning. Funding comes from Title II. Ford NGL is a sole source provider. Indiana law does not require bidding for purchases made from sole source providers. Shanita Bolton, Chief of Family and Community Engagement and Schools of Success, is available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
So
Move for
moved.
approval.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Shanita?
How many more phases are there after this?
The 5th phase is the final phase.
And this is in line with the cost with the other 4 phases?
Yes.
And after this phase, are we on our own?
So that'll be a decision that the district will need to make. And so you go through your phase 5, which is normally a 3-year process for phase 5, because that's ensuring you want to get all of your grade levels. In the fall, we'll be implementing our 10th grade level, and you'll want to get through the next 2 phases of implementation until you have your first graduating class.
So does 152,000 cover all 3 years of implementing phase 5?
No, it does not. So phase 5 will be for the 1 year, and then depending on what we desire after this, we can negotiate what we want in regards for Ford NGL. So currently they're providing still some trainings for teachers and staff as well as administrators, and they'll continue to do that. If we decide as a district that we want to do a piece of that work afterwards, we can make that decision.
But to have this commitment with the current, now to be sophomores, we're talking about our $450,000 roughly? For the next 3 years, $150,000 each?
Correct.
And what are they giving us now that we don't already have?
So we received the trainings, so we have been doing multiple trainings throughout this past academic year. We just finished some project-based learning for our teachers, and then we'll do some additional work in July with them as well.
And I know on the other phases, we brought the community in for brainstorming and ideas. Will this phase have any of that community interaction?
So the phase 5, you actually are moving into a phase where we will be looking at the master plan that we wrote 3 years ago. So it is called Master Plan 2.0. well, we'll take a critical look to see the things that we've accomplished along the way. There's been tweaks, so what are the things that we need to adjust accordingly as we move into this official phase? And there will be some community conversations, particularly with Dr. Daniel, the CEO of Champions, and our advisory committees.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So, yeah, so this phase 5, we may have to re-up for 3 years, but it's still phase 5?
That's correct.
So we're getting the same information. I guess what's different if we do it next year and year after that?
It'll be working with your different class levels.
So this will only be towards our sophomores to be this?
Correct. We're doing training 10 through 12, but there'll be additional for 11th and 12th graders, as well as for us, because keep in mind this past fall we just implemented for 9th grade. So we're also implementing for our pre-K through 8th grade as well.
Any other questions? Thanks, Shanita. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'm sorry, go back one more question. This is different than the Title II money we just got with Kim, right? Earlier, is that part of that?
That is part of the
Okay.
contract will be paid from those funds.
Gotcha. I still vote yes.
Noah, can you do item O, please?
Sure. It is recommended the board approve the purchase of a 3-year contract for Presidio Networked Solutions Group LLC of Carmel for $312,898.47. The purchase provides Milestone Care Plus and the Boring Toolbox for security camera license maintenance software upgrades, which supports FWCS security camera system and an integrated video management system. Funding will come from the School Safety Operations Referendum Fund, and Mike Manuel's here to answer questions.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second. Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Mike?
So is the 300 grand for the whole contract, so 100 grand each year roughly? Or 300 grand per year?
Entire 3 years, yep.
So how has the technology changed since we first installed this equipment? What cool things does the technology do for us?
So, cameras have changed. We're from 2 megapixel, which is my predecessor, Dottie Davis put in. Now we're up to 4 megapixel, 5, 8, 12. I mean, we're all the way out. We usually stay between the 4 megapixels, and we have some that's going towards the 12 megapixels.
So it's better resolution of images
Correct.
that you're going to be able to see.
Correct, and the video management system we can be more with. It integrates with our access control system as well. So when someone fobs a door, depending on the way you have your computer set up, you can see every fob. Like you can see that person on the camera as they fob in. Then also when even if you're not watching your cameras and you need to just see who fobbed in, you can go either on the Linnell system, which you guys approved, the new access control. They integrate back and forth. So
let's say you don't want me in a building. Would the system identify me in a file that don't let Mr. Corona into the building?
So that's a great question. So yes, so that we have some AI cameras that we're adding to the upgrade systems, especially, well, I won't say it on camera, on some of our cameras where we can look for specific items, if you will, with the AI technology. We upgraded some servers as well, and that'll be ongoing for the next 5 years with the referendum money. 6 years with the referendum money. We'll be making those adjustments. But yes, all that stuff can go in. Yep.
You're still going to allow me to enter Grail?
Absolutely, absolutely, sir.
Any other questions for Mike? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. I have item P, It is recommended that the board approve the renewal of the Alive Community Outreach contract for 25-26. The Alive Community Outreach oversees the Peacemaker program in all 5 high schools. The contract must be renewed each year for the next 7 years. This year's contract represents an increase in costs as a result of personnel and operational increases. The amendment and the contract are contained in the board packet. Funding will come from the School Safety Operations Referendum Fund. Matt Schiebel and David Amon are here to answer our questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Noah. Any questions for Matt or David?
I'd like to hear from Javier. Tell us about last year, buddy. How'd it go?
His name's Angelo.
Angelo. I'm sorry, Angelo.
I thank you for that compliment.
Wrong nonprofit dude.
Yeah. Great response, Angelo.
One of my favorites. It's going great. Marie's actually been looking at some data today that she wanted to share.
So we had a privilege of seeing the results of 4 years of this work at Southside. So just looking at the graduating senior class from when they were freshmen, specifically tracking the fight data with this cohort of students. The freshman year, we just introduced the program. Second year was when we had a peace advocate added to the school. And the peace count started that same year. And so on average, their first 3 years, they had about roughly 33 fights with that cohort of students, and this past year they graduated 1 single fight the entire school year with that cohort. So seeing the effects of long-term programming in place, seeing the targeted intervention there with that peace count that really was holding the glue together. I mean, really, we heard a lot of stories of how fights were interrupted in order to maintain that peace count.
Now, one kid at Southside was not very popular this year, I say. But I think what's really exciting is that we're kind of ahead of the curve in the other schools, because we started that first year without any staff. It was me, Marie was still teaching, we were coming in after school and doing what we could, but didn't have a full-time staff person, didn't have a peace room until year 3 at Southside. So now we're starting out with a full-time advocate, a peace room, and really this first year in the other schools has just been about establishing the program, establishing the presence. It's a new thing, so we're trying to take it to the next level, even in integrating with some of the other new things in the building, like the student advocates, the well-being, especially the well-being folks. We're working really closely with Dr. Griffin and Don LeRae in integrating what we do with what they do. And so we actually have their 5 well-being staff in the academy. So this is actually our first day of the academy today, and they're with us every day, all day. We've been talking about it and explaining to them throughout the year kind of what the academy is, what we do, what we teach, but to have them there with us is going to be really
Tell me again what the peace room is. The peace room. Tell me how you use it.
Yeah, I'll let Marie speak to that.
So the peace room is a space where students who need help with self-regulation can have access to. So usually it's teacher referral, admin referral to that space, or just situations in the hallways that allow that student to go ahead and access the peace room. It's also a space to work out mediation of conflict between individuals. So that's primarily what that space is for.
Now, you have a summer training session coming up, and when is that?
Today was our first day.
Today?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about what those 3 weeks entail?
Sure, yeah. So our first 2 weeks are solid, just curriculum-based, learning the curriculum of nonviolence, and really spending a lot of time building community. This is a cohort of students that will stay together throughout their entire, really until they graduate that high school, and do a lot of peace building projects together. And so we rely on that 3 weeks of being together for every single day, 6 hours, so 15 days for 6 hours, and just getting to know one another, building the community. So the first 2 weeks are solid curriculum learning, and then the third week they shift. The principals from the high schools come and visit and have discussions with them to say, what can we do in our school to really bring this up to the next level. And so that's where the peace initiatives are built, is that third week. And we just dive in to say, okay, what commitments can you all make and can we make together to bring this movement into the high school? So it's a really fun atmosphere, a lot of energy, and that's 60 total students, so 12, a cohort of 12 students from each high school.
And are those mainly sophomores?
No, it's a wide range, so incoming sophomores up through incoming seniors.
Okay, nice.
My apologies, Angelo.
That's okay. That's okay.
I know we made some movement tonight in approving some guidance counselors. I would love to see we grow our relationship with you and maybe get juniors and seniors in the ICE program through Peacekeepers to go down to our middle schools. I think peer-to-peer is a huge opportunity at all levels for us as a district, and your great programming and sending those great peace kid advocates down to meet with other peace kids in the middle schools, I think would be invaluable. So just food for thought. I guess, what are your visions of the future now as we're entering our year 3 with you? Whole district, rather.
Right. So just to address that middle school, so we have Northrop Peacemakers have built connections with the Shawnee student ambassadors. So they had several back and forths going over to the school and leading peace circles and just helping to build some projects there at Shawnee, as well as Portage. We've gotten into Portage to their leadership class and done some work. But our peace advocates are very determined, and peacemakers, to move more full force into the middle school this coming year. So that's one piece, as you mentioned, that we see as necessary.
I'll also say that the data that we're looking at really speaks to the need to work with kids at a younger age, because even in the high schools, it's the freshmen across the board that have the highest percentage of conflicts and fights, and so if there's a way for us to start kind of tilling the ground and get to them a little bit earlier, we definitely want to do as much as we can.
Do you have any data with regard to if this program has helped students improve GPAs, attendance for your peacemakers?
So we do self-reflection surveys throughout the course of the year. So when they leave the Peacemaker program, actually we just did one today, just their knowledge coming in. Then we do one before they leave the program, the 3 weeks, and then we touch base with them again in December, and then again at the end of the school year. And routinely we see just as far as their value in themselves and their ability to lead has skyrocketed. And we haven't specifically measured the attendance, and I think that would be a great thing to add, so thank you for that. Attendance and academic records, but that's one piece, is we definitely track how they have moved as student leaders throughout the course of when we start with them through to where they're at now.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank both of you for bringing this program to us. I think this is one of the greatest things we have going right now. I think if these kids are half as impacted as I have been by the program, I'm part of the Grammy and Grampies and the Peace family. If they've been impacted just half as much as I have been, you're doing wonderful things. I love what you do. I appreciate you bringing the Peace family together, and I've grown and I've learned, and I just really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So thank you for everything.
Hope you guys have an amazing almost 3 whole weeks, minus today. So
Thank you.
thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Jen, can you do item Q?
It is recommended that Michelle Kamek be appointed as a replacement deputy treasurer for Stephen Pittenger and Elizabeth Reitinger as of June 20th, 2025, and for the remainder of the 2025 calendar year. Deputy treasurer, $50,000. It is further recommended that the administrator be granted authority to execute any corporate resolutions required by the various banking depositories. Michelle Kamek will replace Mr. Pittenger as the Director of Fiscal Affairs on June 20th, 2025. Indiana Code provides that the treasurer and deputy treasurers give a bond for the faithful performance of duty in the amount determined by the governing body, which is $50,000.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Julie. All those in
Well,
favor?
hang on real quick, Rosie, I'll ask. To be clear, it's not a deputy treasurer getting a $50,000 pay increase, and it's her, as Jennifer pointed out at the very end, yes. That's how much they're allowed to write checks for, or whatever they're buying. All right, thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't
Good.
say who could answer questions, so.
We know to pick on.
Okay, got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that ends our items all the way to Q. And that brings us to a board presentation. Thank you for sitting through. Heather Krebs, Facilities Director, will be giving an update on the following programs and projects: 2023 through 2025 construction recap, ESSER project status update, repair and general obligation bonds program update, CPP program update. The floor is yours, Heather.
Thank you, President Norman, members of the board, and Dr. Daniel. I'm happy to be with you tonight. Again, I am Heather Krebs, fairly newly appointed Facilities Director, but have been with the district and with facilities for over 12 years now. And I know it's kind of been a long agenda. It's getting late. So I'm going to try and cover 3 years and $211 million worth of work in about 15 to 20 minutes. So hang with me. All right. So our agenda this evening, the last time we presented to you was actually in the fall of 2022. I could not believe it had been that long, but here we are. So I'm going to do a brief recap of our projects in each year from 2023, 2024, and 2025. And then I'll do a recap of our CPP program, which is our annual projects, as we touched on earlier this evening. Our ESSER program, which was, I'm glad to say, completed in 2024. And we'll round it out with an update on our 2020 repair program, as well as our 2023 and 2024 general obligation bond projects. So in 2023, we had 45 individual active projects that totaled roughly $76.7 million in expenditures. 12 of those were ESSER-funded projects, which equated to 32% of the expenditure. You can see that in the ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 pie pieces there. 16 of those were bond funded, which equates to roughly 53% of our total project volume that year. And 17 projects were CPP. That equates to 15% of the total expenditure that year. And again, those CPP projects, there are much smaller repair projects, more routine type, so that's why there's so many with such a smaller chunk of the pie piece.
Remind me what CPP stands for?
Capital Programs Projects.
So those are the ones we look at ahead in the budget every year?
That is correct.
We're going to do this, and that's allocated within our.
Yep, we do a 3-year CPP review every year and approval.
Thank you.
So highlights of 2023, we completed many of our secured vestibule projects, which gave secured vestibules at each and every one of our schools. We completed the classroom renovation projects at Arlington and Lincoln, which were the ESSER-funded projects. We were in our second year of renovations at Wayne High School, and Scott Academy was under construction. So we'll flip to 2024. And in 2024, we had 31 active projects totaling roughly $67.7 million in expenditures. 7 of those were ESSER with 21% of the pie. 10% were bond funded at 62% of the pie, and 14 of those were our CPP projects. Highlights from 2024 include we opened Scott Academy. which was very exciting. That was our first major addition in I can't tell you how many decades. Wayne High School, the bulk of the renovations were completed. We've still got some ongoing follow-up projects such as our terrazzo polishing. We've got a cafeteria renovation going on funded with food service funds. So there's still a few things at Wayne, but the bulk of the renovations were completed in 2024. So brings us to current day 2025. We have 32 active projects right now. What you will not see on the 2025 graph is the ESSER projects because we did get those all completed in 24, and that is done now. We had 16 bond-funded projects, and now this is the major slice of our funding is through our bonds. That equates to 83% of the pie. 16 were CPP, that's 16%. And then you'll see just under $500,000 that's in donations. That is our early learning center, the design portion of that project. We are currently completed through design development, which was about 70% of the design process in that. And now we will await the fundraising process before that project continues on. Highlights of this year, we're going to complete the Blackhawk Middle School renovation this year. We've just started the Miami Middle School renovation. And as you all know, we broke ground on the Snyder Stadium. So we're moving a lot of earth out there. So to dive a little bit deeper into our capital projects, you've seen this slide before in our budget presentations, but projects that are considered capital in nature are our site acquisition and development projects, construction and renovation, small construction renovation projects, as well as equipment replacements. And then also in that are school sports facilities. And I will note that funding that we can allocate out of the CPP for school sports facilities upgrades is limited to 2.7% of the overall operations fund. The rest of our capital projects include our maintenance and operations, so that's all of our skilled craft workers, as well as general repairs. That amounts to about 25% of the CPP. And technology includes hardware upgrades that technology gets out of the CPP, and that is roughly 13% of the overall $18 million that was allocated this year. Our 2025 capital projects, and this just focuses really on just our facilities portion of those projects. That's the architectural contracts that you awarded earlier this evening. It includes our general building system, small projects, site repairs and site development, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, mainly replacements of existing equipment, not so much renovations, and then also our roof replacement. This also includes furnishings and equipment purchases. So for right now this year, we've awarded 91% of our facilities-based CPP funding. Those projects are underway, and as of the end of May, we had 15% completed. You'll see that spike up drastically by the end of the summer, and we'll be closer to 90% completed, with 10% maybe still hanging out there for some miscellaneous furniture purchases, as well as our allowances for land acquisition and emergency projects. Touching briefly on ESSER, out of our overall ESSER allocation, we earmarked roughly $75 million for improvement projects. ESSER, if you remember, is our COVID relief dollars, and those projects were mainly to improve air quality in our buildings. So that included HVAC improvements as well as hazardous material abatements. We replaced a lot of flooring in the ESSER program. This also included those renovations, those classroom renovations at Arlington and Lincoln, where we took those open concept buildings and actually built hard walls and made classrooms in those buildings. And it also included additions at Abbott Elementary and our food service center to provide additional food storage. Switching over to our bond program, our 2020 repair program, I'm not going to read through all of this, but on the slide you'll see all the different projects that were included as part of the repair program. And just as a reminder, our flagship projects were the Wayne High School renovation, as well as Black Hawk and Miami Middle School renovations. And then we also had modular classrooms at Scott and Franke Park, so we removed those modular classroom units, did the addition at Scott, did some renovations at Franke Park so we could pull those modular classrooms out and not have those separate structures from our buildings. And we did several security projects just to, again, ensure that all of our schools have those secured vestibule entries.
Is there any more schools with not a secure vestibule entrance?
There are no more schools that, there are no schools that do not have a secured vestibule entrance. Go back to that other slide real quick, Olivia. So on the top right there, you'll see that's one of the collaboration rooms in the new Scott Academy building. And then at the bottom, that is a photo of our new student hub that's in the academic wing at Wayne High School. And if you've not been in Wayne High School to see that, I would definitely encourage you to go out and check that out because it's a whole different environment now. So touching on our funding for the repair program, we issue our bonds annually, and we do that to help both with cash flow as well as to control our promised debt rate within the referendum. So right now we have issued 4 of those bonds, and we will have the final issuance for $21.7 million that we'll bring to you later this year. So on this chart, you can see of the 4 bonds that have been issued, the green indicates funding spent. So you can see those first 2 years, 21 and 22, were almost spent out on those years. We're about 86, 87% spent out on the 23 bond, and then roughly 30% spent out on the 24 bond. Orange is funding that is currently encumbered, which means it's already been allocated to a PO. And then the light brown is reserved for upcoming projects and contracts. So right now, the repair program stands at 67.6% complete and in place, with roughly 83.2% awarded. Our completed projects, again, Wayne High School, the Levon Scott Academy addition, our entrance vestibule and office security improvements, as well as a complete revamp of the temperature control systems at Southside High School. Our projects in progress include the Wayne High School kitchen, which I included on here even though it is funded by food service, but we consider it as part of the Wayne High School renovation. Our Black Hawk Middle School renovation that's set to be completed this year. Miami Middle School is set to be completed in '26. Our annual roof replacement projects are ongoing, and we are doing improvements at Anthus and tolls in the corridors that will be completed next year. And then upcoming, that remaining chunk of the pie that's, I wouldn't say it's unallocated, but it's reserved, is the Wayne High School campus site improvements. And as you remember, we went back to Northrop kind of after the fact and reconfigured the site for better flow. We're going to do the same thing at Wayne. And then Black Hawk and Miami are both set to get new parent pickup lanes. And we are going to do some office renovations at Holland, Northcrest, and Franke Park. The 2023 general obligation bond is a much smaller bond. It's about $10 million in total, and that was mainly safety and security initiatives. It included ADA lift replacements, or you've heard the term LULA, which are the limited use, limited application elevators, at 11 of our buildings. And then it also contained several security upgrades. To date, 69% of that work has been completed and 94% of the work has been awarded. That remaining 6% will help fund work at Abbott, Washington, and at the Transportation Center. So we have 4 of the lift updates completed. We've also completed A-phone remote intercom station upgrades. Those are the buttons you push when you come up to the front door to ring in. Fuel distribution improvements at the Transportation Center. The South Side High School Open Gates Weapons Detection System. This was the pilot program, if you remember, for the safety and security referendum. So this was kind of the starting point for that. As well as 3M security film installations on all of our building vestibules and exterior doors. Projects in progress right now include the remaining ADA lift updates, intrusion detection and access control system updates, which Mike referenced earlier this evening. Switching that system over will be done later this year so we can have that full integration between cameras and our intrusion detection. And then we are relocating some of the modular buildings that we displaced from a couple of the schools and installing them at transportation to help with some space issues out there. And then upcoming projects, we are looking at some expansions of the vestibules at Abbott and Washington to help with the open gate system use out there. And finally, our 2024 general obligation bond. This is our $55 million athletics and miscellaneous infrastructure bond. Obviously, the Snyder Stadium is a big part of this, as well as athletic equipment purchases and scoreboards. It also included the virtual desktop infrastructure that technology is implementing right now to help support schools of success, as well as the dehumidification system improvements that were approved this evening for the Helen P. Brown Natatorium. This also is 2 bond issuances. We had one last year, and we will be bringing one to you later this fall to complete the funding for this and complete these projects.
Is all the,
Okay. So our completed projects, the 4% that you saw on the previous slide, that's mainly sports equipment purchases. Those support basketball, golf, soccer, tennis, track, volleyball, and wrestling. Projects in progress are the stadium. We've got a partial roof replacement going on at the Face Building. Auditorium improvements at Northside, Snyder, Southside, and Wayne. And I will note that Northrop is not included because those improvements were done during their renovation. The Natatorium HVAC improvements, Northside High School Stadium PA replacements, the VDI, additional sports equipment, as well as the scoreboard replacements and video board installations. And then upcoming projects, you approved the high school storage building bid this evening. We will also be adding smaller storage barns at each of the middle schools. We will have additional sports equipment to help support the other sports like baseball, cross country, softball, swimming, and track. And we'll be replacing stadium PA systems at our middle schools. So as we move forward, we continue to be strategic in our planning, and adaptive is a key word, adaptive to current and future funding challenges by carefully balancing our annual operations funding along with our debt service and bond issuances in a responsible manner that's also responsive to the needs of our students and our community. Taking care of our maturing infrastructure while supporting district initiatives means there's always work to do. We're still far from done. So With that, I do want to recognize my staff who is with me this evening. So if you would stand up when I call your name. I know they love this part of it, but we only get to do it once every 3 years. So John Hudson is my coordinator of design controls. He helps write our design standards, issues RFPs, and helps with our overall design schedule coordination. Olivia Deck, who is my helper this evening, is my coordinator of program controls. She handles all the background financial aspects for me, as well as construction administration documentation and our Procore project management system. My capital projects coordinators, Travis Searles, Kevin Thomas, Zach Evans, Josh Summers, and Jade Steffen. These are my boots on the ground. They're the guys who go out there and get it done for me, and I absolutely could not do it without any of them. In addition to that, we have some support staff back at the office. Sarah Smotherman is our secretary. Jonathan Malcolm is our auditor who helps me get out in the buildings and check all those little minute details and everything that's going on. And Nicole Zuber is an architectural tech that helps keep all of our building plans up to date for us. And then I would be remiss not to recognize the man in the room who gave us all this opportunity, Darren Hess, our Executive Director of Operations. You've paved the path well, and I always appreciate your support, as well as Rosie Shipman, our CFO. So with that, I want to say thank you. Well, I'm getting there. Hang on. She's bossy. I do want to say thank you to you, our school board, Dr. Daniel. We absolutely could not have done this all these years without your backing. And I always appreciate the conversations I have with each and every one of you and your support in making all these projects happen. And then I thank our greater community. We wouldn't be here without them because they've supported this through all of us by passing referendums and by just being there to cheer us on as we complete these renovations. So with that, I do have to read the closing statement. Excellence is never an accident. It is a result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. And we thank you for your commitment to excellence and your unwavering leadership. So with that, we're going to show a cool video now.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Trustees, we're honored to be the board to finally make this project a reality. For as long as I've been a board member, this stadium has always been on the list of future projects. To be here today and to see this project come to fruition is truly exhilarating.
I'm the Director of Facilities here at Fort Wayne Community Schools.
I'm Josh Summers. I am in the Facilities Department, a coordinator of capital projects.
We are standing in Wayne High School, which we started renovating about 3 years ago, started design roughly 4.5, 5 years ago. So this has been a long time coming, work in progress, but we are almost wrapped up. And so today we're touring the building to check out the updates that have been made. So this is our junior ROTC program space here at Wayne High School.
So this was one of the biggest changes in the building, was getting these guys all into one central location.
Yeah,
So,
and a space that really serves their program well.
Yeah. We took a concept where we did have combined classrooms and labs in the past. And so instead of having a lab that doesn't work great because it's a classroom and a classroom that doesn't work great because it's a lab, we separated the function of the science classrooms and labs, and now we have 2 classrooms with a shared lab in the middle.
This did not used to be the main entrance. This was just a door off the academic wing. And the elevator was a small added elevator on the other side of,
Where the stacks
of the
area
hub
is
space.
now.
Yeah. So we added a full service elevator in here. And if you remember from that video, it was all dug up. There was a giant hole in the ground. I was wearing a hard hat at the time, but this is our new elevator. So we have full ADA access now, first and second floors. The main office, door 1 entry is right here across the hallway with our secured vestibule set up. So in the original design of the building, this was the office suite. And when people entered the building, they entered into the commons and were really unaccompanied until they got to the office suite. So in moving the main office, we also created that secure entry point so we could monitor and keep control of who's coming in and out of the building, keep our students safe.
Once the project was done, the main renovation, then we started a kitchen renovation project, which is a complete overhaul of the kitchen space and then rearranging the dining room, and that will be done before next school year. So this is the renovated weight room at Wayne High School with all new equipment. This used to be multiple different rooms in here. So we used to have, I think, 2 different rooms. We opened it all up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that people really need to realize is this is a process that takes time. It's not just something where you say, okay, hey, we've got the money, we've got the approval, let's go, and in 3 months we're going to have a renovated building. It doesn't happen like that. There are years of pre-planning that go into the mix. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of design time by both our staff, getting input from our staff that's in the building, getting input from our administration and our curriculum directors, and then there's the time that's put in by our professional partners, all of our architects and engineers and people who come together to really make this process fit our current programming. So, you know, the one thing we really have tried to do over the years in the facilities department is create modern, relevant learning environments for our current students and our future students. So we're taking buildings that are 50, 60, 70 years old, some almost 100 years old, and we're re-envisioning them for our students now and our students in the future. I do need to give a special shout out to Josh Summers for playing along with me and putting up with the videography. So
That was a great video.
all right, thank you.
You know, Heather,
Any questions?
well, just a comment. I can't help but think back to 2012 when we started this construction journey. And, you know, I think the decision was made at that time to hire our own staff to oversee all the construction projects. And I have a feeling that's probably unusual.
It is.
Do you know of any other district that basically?
I do not know of any other district. They may have a maintenance director, or some do have a facilities director. Other than that, they may have some skilled craft, but we are really the only district that I'm aware of that has a facilities staff like this.
And it makes me think that that has been one of the keys to our success, that we have, every major project we have had, at least referendum-wise, I'm talking about the 3 referendum so far, we have brought them in under budget and on time.
Absolutely.
And I think that is such a credit to, you and Darren and your staff and everyone here in the room, but also it's a credit to the decisions that were made back in 2012.
100%.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Good job, team.
I count about $210 million you went through there in 3 years. About how much of that would you guess is local contractors?
I would venture to say we're talking in the 85 to 90% are local
So,
contractors.
for example, we're doing the stadium, and Hagerman Construction is doing that, and they are right down the street from
a
here.
local
too far,
contractor, right here
Reagan
downtown.
did Scott
Mhm.
Academy, another local contractor.
Right.
So I think, to your point, Heather, and you've served in the unique role that we sit in, you're a unique person in a lot of ways, but the community support has been huge. And I'd like to thank the stewardship of Steve and Julie and Maria and Ian, who were on here, and the people before Jennifer and I, and Tony, and kind of reaching, I give you guys a lot of credit, Mark Giaquina, who was on the board, I think the leader at the board at the time, they went for the first bond referendum. So that was the worst awful feeling being a school board member. We just got shot down by the community for this bond. We got shot down with our plans, and they regrouped and came back. The other thing I want to do is give a shout out to your team here. I mean, you guys get to see the glamorous part of what Heather and Darren been doing all these years, sticking around till 8 o'clock on meetings. But the other thing I want to say to your team is we regularly get approached at conferences and other things by contractors or vendors that want to deal with us and deal with us. And I love this piece when we could say, talk to Heather or talk to Darren or talk to Rosie or talk to whoever the appropriate people are. But when we talk about your team and what the contracting group and vendors in particular, they say time and time again, by far, you guys are the best to deal with. You have the best infrastructure. You have the best program. I don't know what you've done to digitize everything, but they just talk about how easy it is to go in and work on a contract with Fort Wayne Community Schools because everything's at their fingertips. They can come in. And that speaks to me to coming at low cost, efficiencies for them, efficiencies for us, at and under budget, as Julie said. And I can't help but think we have Angelo here, not Javier, and you showing us those beautiful buildings. I mean, we don't want to get knuckleheads running around those beautiful buildings.
Right.
There's been some destruction in different properties lately I've seen in the national news and stuff. We don't want that. The community doesn't want that. They're building this for a learning environment and center. And I know I would argue to say, while Wayne and I know Scott look amazing, they are not Taj Mahals that have been rumored to maybe be up northwest of us or down by Indianapolis areas and stuff like that. They're functional, they're clean, they're nice learning environments where students can come and learn and grow and not be knuckleheads. So, and I was once a knucklehead, I hold on. So. Thanks for all you guys do.
Great.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting through all of the agenda items. We appreciate your time.
They had nothing else to do tonight.
I'm sure.
Next month we have one agenda item, so talk to Heather about that. Just kidding, we don't know yet.
I love it. Oh, all right. That leads us to board member comments.
Sure,
Steve.
3 things. Just reaction to the presentation we just saw. And the question you asked about whether there are other districts who have a team like this. And I'm not sure, but we did at one time. In the 60s, that building boom because of the population. We had a gentleman by the name of Levon Miller who had a team of people and led us through that period before Parkview took him away. And we did a couple of one-off projects at North and South, but we really didn't have a team through that period. And now we have these folks in blue over there, and you've done a magnificent job. I mean, our buildings are assets to our neighborhoods. I've been to a number of districts in-state and around the country, and I cannot forget a visit that I made to Mission High School in San Francisco, where Carlos Santana went to school. This had to be in the 90s, and it was a complete dump. Carlos would have been ashamed at what the school district did to that building. I was embarrassed as a school board member from another district in visiting Mission High School and how dilapidated that building was. We're not like that. And it's amazing as to what you've done on behalf of Fort Wayne Community Schools. So I salute all of you. Item number 2, I wanted to recognize the passing of Ann Saletto, who died May 27th. She was a member of the board for 8 years, from 79 to 87, and I had the pleasure of serving with Ann. And it's always amazing what you learn about people in their obituaries. Ann was from Iowa. She was a member of the National Honor Society and drum major for the marching band. She went to college and got a degree in speech pathology and audiology, and she worked at the state school on Indiana School on State Street for a number of years. And she was also president for a couple of years during some really difficult times when we were sued by the Parents for Quality Education with integration, and Ann was chair for a couple of years there. So great community leader. She was a member of a number of groups in Fort Wayne. The last is an annual diatribe that I make mention of. We publish in the Journal Gazette a listing of our top 50 graduates, 10 students per school. And again, the results are disappointing more than ever. Of the 50 students listed, 2, maybe 3 students are black. Our black student population is 25%, so you can see the underrepresentation. People say that they come from a tough zip code, 46803, but I got to tell you, folks, those same zip codes, 46803 and 46806, also produce our Asian and Latino students. And in the top 50, we see a representation of about 8% for Asian students, Latino students 9, 18%, just under our 20% representation of Latino students in the district. This is not a school issue, this is a community issue. But there also has to be a personal responsibility that families and students have to accept to step up. And they're not doing it. I'm pleased to say that in the same paper that these students' pictures appeared, there was a guest editorial from Aisha Arrington, the president and CEO of the Fort Wayne Urban League, and she talked about what they're beginning to do at the Urban League with after-school tutoring, homework help. They're part of the summer learning camp along with the Boys and Girls Club, and all of that is awfully important to provide more opportunities that black students must become involved in and participate wholly in becoming better students. They're not there. And this is not a school problem. This is a community problem, and we must do better. And I know we can see the achievements the district is making with both math and language arts proficiency, but our black students are not a part of that success, and they have to be. There are a number of great opportunities to work after graduation, and we've got to get those kids involved. So, end of sermon. I pass the microphone to my left.
Just to piggyback on one thing that Noah mentioned, you know, as I watched the whole facilities update, again, thanks to our community, because our community through, well, 4 referendums now that we have had has supported us every time. And we couldn't have done it without a community that values education and values public schools. So we thank you for that. And I attended our last graduation on Saturday, Snyder's graduation, and it's always an enjoyable time to see how appreciative students are and how excited their families are. It's, you know, it's a big milestone for kids in our families and community. It's fun to be a part of it.
I too attended graduation. I was thinking, I don't know how much to say, but thinking about all saw the couple videos like, oh, we had graduation, oh, we had the groundbreaking. So it's been a busy few weeks as a season/school year wrapped up. I want to acknowledge Dr. Daniel and some of the other staff that were there at graduation. It's a long day. And oh, by the way, he was there the night before. So, and yes, it's part of his job, but it's also the culmination of his job. But I just want to thank you, to be there. It's something that people ask me, and I think some of us, what do you want to go to graduation for again? I think overall each of the schools, and I've been to each of the schools' graduation, I think at least once now, do a great job of moving things along and empowering them along to move quickly. But it's also fun for me to sit there and congratulate those kids and kids that I know and parents that I know. It's really fun for me then to kind of hold it over their parents and say, hey, I got to congratulate them first, well before you. So that's a lot of fun. I also want to acknowledge and thank Heather and Darren, and in particular one Miss Rosemary Shipman. I've got a lot of kudos for being a part of making Snyder happen, but it was all this board. But it was particularly Rosemary Shipman and Dr. Daniel who, Rosie with her creative thinking and ideas, and Dr. Daniel helped spearheading this. As Maria said in her little speech, it's been a long time. It's been on the board for a long time, probably as long as Steve's been on the board. But to finally see it go and make it happen is just super exciting for the Snyder family community. And as most everybody knows, all two of you that watch this regularly, I'm partial to Snyder being a graduate. But everything I've seen throughout this whole process has been positive through the community, through social media, through the news media outlets. Everybody seems very happy for the Snyder community and for the Fort Wayne Community Schools community. So I want to thank Rosie and Dr. Daniel in particular on that. Last but not least, being a Snyder fan, congratulate their baseball team for winning regional and wish them best of luck at semi-state. They're our only remaining team at Fort Wayne Community Schools and the only now remaining team, I think, in Allen County, because Norwell, I think, is the next closest one. So good luck to the Mighty Panthers as they take on semi-state. That's it.
Nice. Thanks, Noah. Jen?
I think everybody covered everything I want to say. I'm usually not too short on words, but I'm going to be tonight. So thank you all for coming. Facilities, that is just one thing I would like to say. I've said it many times here. I've been to many public school districts that are cities of our size, and I'm always impressed when I come back here at what we offer our students versus other public school districts in other cities. You do a fantastic job. Thank you.
I think I must have seen this in the paper because I copied and pasted something in my notes, but Quinn Kilby of Jefferson Middle School was the winner of the Allen County Public Library Student Library Card Contest. So it's designing and illustrating a library card. Her illustration, which symbolizes the limitless potential of reading and imagination, was unveiled during Jefferson Middle School's awards night last month at Northrop High School. And it was like an astronaut in space showing that's what the limitless potential of reading is. I just thought that they're really cool because I love our library. When they had the other library cards before, like, oh, I'm going to go get one because I love that Theophilus Smith / Fresh Laundry. But it said you couldn't have your old library card. You had to trade. It's like, oh, I can't give up my library card that I've had for 5 billion years. So I forfeited the new one. Or I didn't forfeit my old one for a new one. But anyway, and then this weekend I had the opportunity to speak at the League of Women Voters Biennial Convention at the Grand Wayne Center, and I was on their education panel. So I just wanted to thank you, Rosie, for your help with that. I did not have a lot of good news to share with them, but I felt like I got a great education from Rosie, and I also attended a Phil Downs event and learned some new things from him. But like I said, I didn't have a lot of positive to share, but how else are you going to get people fired up and get them to write their legislators and to vote if you don't tell them what's really happening with public education? So that's all I have.
Thank you. Dr. Daniel?
So again, thank you, Heather and your team, Darren. Again, I think part of our success in Fort Wayne Community Schools as we see our students ever improving the academic world, but also in the co-curricular world, it's because we have excellent facilities. And it does make a difference from curb appeal to walking into a building. Just very, very thankful. So I'd also like to say, since we have Dr. Brown here, preliminarily speaking, we are seeing some rather significant results in our iRead. Things that I'll just say, you mentioned it, intentionality, purpose, dialing it down. We're seeing that in our reading scores, which will then start to carry over into the iLearn and so forth. So very, very pleased with that. Lastly, graduations. Yeah, when you shake over 1,800 kids. But it is always lots of fun. And it's fun because you start to see our students walk across the stage now as graduating young adults. But you also see the fact that we are we have diversity, where you have complexity, we have, I'll just say that's our strength. And you see each of those kids, and you say, oh my gosh, those are the people who are entering our workforce, those are people who are soon to be taking care of us and our, as far as the economic growth of our community. And I'm always amazed to feel I feel very assured and very much comforted, I guess would be a better word, knowing that, yes, they have been part of Fort Wayne Community Schools, and I think we have an excellent product. And our idea of get better, better, better it's throughout the entire system. It's Fort Wayne Community Schools. That speaks very highly. So when we can say things like our seniors, and I think there are a lot of factors that play this, but I think mentoring is probably one of the critical factors that we've seen. When you can say seniors have increased their GPA by 1.4 points, people don't believe that. It's like, what has happened when you can say things like, we've increased the number of students who are taking, I'll just say, higher level courses like AP and dual credit by 12.5%, which amounts to over 260 plus students. That's the senior class. And finally, I got my speech down after the sixth time. So I was thinking, okay, how do you do this? Saying you just raised the bar for the next class and the class after that. We are saying the expectations here, and every year it seems to climb higher and higher, whether it's social behavior, and whether it's academics, whether it's sports and our co-curricular activities. That gentleman who played the sax on the national anthem, holy cow, that was off the chart. But we have unbelievable talent, and I think we're changing perception of our community, which is long time coming, because we are breaking, like I love to say, we are throwing the wrench into the spokes, because I think as an urban district, we are not normal. We are very unique, and you see us continue to say, here's the expectation. And quite frankly, we're reaching that, whether it be facilities, whether it be programming, it's happening. So kudos to all of you, and board, thank you for that support, because I don't think we'd be there. Certainly, you went back to 2012, we would not be there if there wasn't some, I'll just say, forethought. And this continues. Our buildings are amazing. And yeah, ESSER helped us, no doubt about that. But it was well underway, and thank you for that information, Julie, because I didn't quite have that understanding either. So you think about that. This is not because of ESSER. This is because we had planning. And we're doing the same thing in the areas of academics and co-curricular. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
I will keep my comments short since I am standing between you all and dinner. Some of you maybe. I'm standing in between me and my dinner. So I will just say thank you so much, facilities. I am always so proud. Every time I drive to Northrop's campus, which I always say campus now, I am just blown away. The signage, the landscaping, it looks so good. And so I'm so excited to see what you all come up with for Wayne. So yeah, hopefully we can get the sticker that says, what is it, the I-69 or 469 sign improved. That looks like a bumper sticker on the back of a sign out there. I spent a lot of time at Wayne growing up, and yeah. So anyways, I'm so excited. I love our buildings. I've been to several Midwestern cities with my son and basketball, and whenever I drive through, I'm always like, I wonder what their school buildings look like. Anybody tell me when you see one? And then I look and I'm like, oh man, ours are so much better. So, but yes, thank you so much. I appreciate all the work that you all do. And thank you to the Fort Wayne community, because without your votes, we wouldn't be able to do any of that. So exciting things that I got to be a part of, the first groundbreaking I've ever been a part of, so that was really exciting to both speak and be a part of throwing ceremonial dirt with a fancy shovel and a hard hat. So just really excited. Like Noah mentioned, it's been really nice to see the community come together and support that Snyder community. I am an avid comment reader on social media platforms, and so it is very nice and reassuring that there are a lot of people in the community that are very excited about the stadium and see it as beneficial for those students to have that space. So very excited about that. I was able to attend Wayne and Northside graduations. And like Noah mentioned, people are like, why? Why would you want to do that? That's so long. You're there for hours. It's literally my favorite thing. So to see the accomplishments that these students have gone through, to remember that feeling of accomplishment. But for me, it's also seeing the sheer joy that the parents and the families have. It's heartwarming to see the whole thing. And I love shaking the hands, and I love being there for hours to celebrate our students. So thank you to everyone here. Thank you for sitting through 2 hours of a board meeting. I appreciate you all. Enjoy your evening and get some dinner. Our next meeting will be Monday, June 23rd. Is there a motion?
For adjournment.
Second.
Aye. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all.
Oh, please.
Mike Manuel to the front, please.